Hawks head in KwaZulu-Natal testifying at the Commission of Inquiry into state capture. Now, one person who's been there the whole day capturing and listening to the testimony carefully is our reporter Manqoba Mchunu. Let's join him now in Parktown just to give us a rundown on what he heard today. Manqoba, thanks very much for joining us. Who was greatly anticipated. Take us through some of his testimony today, and it looks like he dropped some more key names.
Well, certainly that's what's been happening here today with the former Hawks box taking the stand today, of course, saying that and implicating some of those top police officials in KZN, including the acting former provincial chair, Mmamonnye Ngobeni, who says that she was also involved in allegations of trying to interfere with some of the sensitive cases. Of course, in the clip that you played before, we've heard that of how she tried to interfere in a case involving a businessman, a Durban businessman, Toshan Pandey, which was related to the 2010 World Cup tender fraud at the time. And of course, saying that Mmamonnye had even instructed Johan Booysen and his team to stop an investigation that was looking into this tender fraud by Gold Coast, which was a company that was owned by Pandey. So going at great lengths to explain as well how some of the officers and also some of the investigators involved in that case were also ostracized by the provincial chair, who at the time had even sometime ordered a probe against one of those investigators, also saying that there were allegations that some of those police officers needed to be investigated for being involved in this particular case. So those are some of the things that came out. But more than that, he also tried to also show a level of bribery that took place at that point, indicating that there were attempts to bribe some of those police officers that were involved in this particular probe. And in fact, a bribe that was offered to Johan Booysen himself, and of course saying that this happened in 2011, and one of the senior police officials who was at the time employed by the South African Police Service was involved in this 2 million rand bribe, which is to be given to Johan Booysen. Of course saying that that particular attempt was to try and quash this particular case that he was investigating at the time.
So people in high places trying to protect civilians, it would seem. But the day did start with an interesting question about Deputy Chief Justice Zondo's brother and a ring fencing of some evidence.
Yes, Peter, that's correct. We did hear again the evidence leader making reference to the fact that there will be evidence that will be laid at the commission, which might again implicate the brother of the chair, Justice Zondo, and of course saying that, what happens then? What happens now? What will happen to this testimony? But of course, the justice saying that this particular evidence, lawyers will still have to make submissions on this. And then after those submissions have been made, it will then be determined whether that particular evidence will be heard by the chair himself or whether another person will have to listen to that evidence. So at this point, it seems as if those submissions will still have to be made, and then a determination will then be taken at a later stage as to whether it will be indeed the chair, Justice Zondo, who will listen to this evidence, or if it will be another person.
So General Booysen will be back again tomorrow. Any idea of what he might be talking about tomorrow?
Well, Peter, we're expecting him to go at great lengths about the interference. He spoke, when he started his testimony, he spoke about how he believed that some of the elements of the criminal justice system were indeed captured, making reference in particular to the police as well as the NPA. So we're expecting him to go into deeper, or to dig deeper into how the NPA, for example, was involved in this so-called interference with the high-profile cases that they had been investigating, and in as far as also formulating criminal charges against those who had been busy and involved in some of those investigations. We also expect to hear him speak a bit more about the involvement of the former deputy prosecutions boss, Manqoba Mchunu, who we know at some point had also been involved in a campaign to try and open criminal charges against Johan Booysen. So we expect to hear more of the testimony, and of course, we also expect to hear more about his role or his alleged role in the death squad. That is the KZN death squad, which was reported about widely in newspapers during 2011. So we're expecting to clear some of those issues and also to hear more about corrupt officials within the police themselves, and basically some of the revelations of some of the things that they were also involved in.
All right, so Manqoba, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much indeed. That's our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu, who was following the testimony being given by General Booysen at the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture that's taking place in Parktown in Johannesburg. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll try and get you a preview of an important meeting that's taking place a little bit later on in just over an hour. Cooperative Governance Minister Zweli Mkhize is part of an interministerial task team that's been deployed there.